Hello and welcome to your Asian Pulse TV, an informative and resourceful station. I'm your host Manny Randhawa, who's always glad to know that you guys are joining us for another great episode. We are broadcasting from the unceded territories of Silvertooth Nation, Mokum, and Kwantlen Nations. We all are very blessed for the generosity of the First Nation people who share this land with us. On the same note, let's chat about Remembrance Day being observed on November 11, 2022. When the nation will be coming together to observe a minute of silence at the 11th hour of the 11th month, this is the time for all of us to pay our tribute to the men and women of our country. These are the real life heroes who we should always remember for the freedom we all enjoy today and every day. November is also Sikh Nation Blood Donor Month. So roll up your sleeves and go donate. They say blood in you is to give. The more you give, the more you produce. Please support the Sikh Nation Blood Donation Month. I'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. And if you would like to highlight your business or simply would like to support the show that we have been putting on air for the past 35 years, this is your opportunity to do so. You can always call the numbers that is given in the credits. Thank you.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages.
For astrology service, life horoscope, and fortune telling, marriage problem, love problem, divorce problem, money problem, personal or business, all types of puja and havan. Call Pandit Lakshminath Guruji 1604-849-4872, serving Alberta and BC.
Arvind's Curry and Cocktail, Indian cuisine. They do catering for all occasions and they do free delivery. Please call 604-515-1070. Address is 420 6th Street, New Westminster. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. For deliveries, call 604-515-1070 or arvindscurry.com.
Thank you, sponsors. Now we have Terry Leach, Chairperson for Royal Canadian Legion in New Westminster branch, who is our guest today and who will be talking about Remembrance Day and why it's so crucial for all of us to go and observe a minute of silence at any cenotaph. Let's have that silence.
Welcome to Asian Pulse, and today's show we're going to be focused on Remembrance Day. And my guest today is Terry Leach. He's the president of New Westminster Legion. And we are here to talk about why the Remembrance Day or 11th hour of the 11th day is so important. Because we want to observe. It's not a celebration. We observe that day. And the reason that we observe the day, this is the day that our men and women went to World War I, World War II. Some of them never returned home to their families. And we never want to forget that. As well as the freedom that you and me and every one of us enjoy today is because of those heroes, we should call, that they fought for our country. And there is still wars going on all over the world. And there have many wars after World War I, World War II, which ended in 1947. But this is the two major world wars that the world have experienced, and so many people. The soldiers are one thing, but there's so many innocent people died during that time. So this is the day that we should never forget in the history, or as long as you live, to honor them, to take your hat out and say thank you. So with me, is Terry Lish. He is the president of New Westminster Legion. Thank you, sir, for coming in and be able to give your insight and talk to the people. Why is this day so important?
Remembrance Day is very significant in that we have 2 minutes of silence at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, and that signifies when the armistice was signed during the First World War, at the end of the First World War. And it's to remember the soldiers and people that gave their lives for the country back in the Second World War, First World War and the Second World War. We want to remember what they sacrificed for this country.
Mm-hmm. And what did they sacrifice?
They gave up their homes and their work to go over and fight against oppression over in Europe and in Germany in the Second World War. First World War was basically all Europe, France, Belgium, you know. Mm. The Second World War was over in France, Germany, and the Netherlands also.
Right, right. So you said you were a reservist.
Yes.
At the army. Was it World War I or World War II, or both wars?
Well, it was after the Second World War.
Okay, okay, okay.
And to explain what a reservist is it's a person who joins the Army or the Navy or the Air Force to prepare for the occasion where they may have to go and fight. Mm-hmm. They still have their civilian jobs and their homes, mm-hmm. but a reservist gives up a lot of time to go and train. And if you go back to the First World War, a lot of the infrastructure was run by reservists, and same with the Second World War. There were a lot of people that they came from all walks of life. They were school teachers, they were loggers, they were fishermen, and they just felt they had to go and do their duty and help the country.
Mm-hmm. How old were you when you got recruited, or when you joined?
When I joined when I was 19 or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when the young men and women. That's their prime time, and that's when they want to train mm-hmm. people in case there is a war in your country, and all these people that you have, all the reservists who are there, they can come in and fight for the country. Yes. It's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of time away from family, friends, and all that. And when you really look at today, when a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, when you ask them to do something like that, they don't want to leave their homes, the comfort of the homes, the friends that they hang out with, the jobs that they have. They said, it's all right. The other people, they always depend on somebody else to be pulling that weight, but they don't feel that this is so important for them to be able to be there for your country.
Yes, and considering that our military is actually, today, it's about 95,000, and it's comprised of regular force and reservists. It's basically a split, so that's the backup for the regular force.
Mm-hmm. So those people that are watching today's show is not just a statutory holiday, like I already said, but I think there's a lot maybe we all can do to contribute for our Canadian society, so that we can, or even those parents that are watching, and if kids want to do some volunteer work or something, this is a great opportunity, and they can put on their resume. It always looks good. So I am going to take you back and talk a little bit about what is happening on that day, on Friday.
On Friday in New Westminster, the the ceremony will start, and we'll have the Royal Westminster Regiment will parade down to the cenotaph. And once the ceremony starts, there will be a few speeches. Then they will do the act of remembrance. Then the bugler will play the last post, and a piper will play the lament. And then there's the 2 minutes of silence. After that, it will be Reveille, and then they will start to lay the wreath at the cenotaph. After the honor roll has been read out and people have placed their wreaths, then they will have a march past. So the regiment will march past, and there will be a reviewing officer there to take the salute. And that will be the end of the ceremony.
Because I have been to many, it's very short and simple. You don't have to stand in the rain, cold, winter, freeze yourself. You just go there, you participate during that ceremony, and then you leave. And so I think there is no excuse people cannot come and join you there, right?
That is right.
Yeah. And so every city, I mean, you are with New Westminster, you're inviting all the people in New Westminster to come and join, and maybe for last 2 years or whatever, 2 years ago, then you were doing that virtual. Did you during the pandemic? What happened during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, it was actually a lot simpler because the platform party only existed or had about 9 people.
Okay.
And it was very, very short. The cenotaph was blocked off, but there were wreaths were laid. And then once the platform party had finished everything, we did the last post, Reveille. Then people that had wreaths could come up and lay their wreaths. What we do now is after the ceremony and people are gone, the cenotaph is open so that people can come up and look at the wreaths.
Yeah.
We only, lately what we've been doing is we let the wreaths stay there for a couple of hours. Then a youth group will come in, volunteers, and they will pick up the majority of the wreaths. Then they take them up to Fraser Cemetery, and they place them on the graves of the veterans up there. So it serves a dual purpose, where the wreaths are laid at the cenotaph, and then they're put on veterans' graves.
So those people, I mean, the graves of those people that lived in New West that time. So you have the graves as well, marked with their names and when they were born and when they died.
Yes.
Is it a separate grave, or is it among the rest of the people?
There is one section that's, a lot of it is military, but there are veterans scattered throughout the cemetery. A lot of the World War I veterans. Yeah, they're scattered around there.
Okay, well that's good. At least it will stay on their grave or on their thing. So I think it's so important. Every cities have a cenotaph, and every cities they observe that moment of silence or 2 minutes of silence. And I think and I also find that the youth, I have granddaughters, grandkids and all that, and they are so excited about being just a holiday for them. Oh, Friday is a holiday. And do you know what the holiday is about? They might remember, they might not. Do you think we or the teachers or the schools or the parents are teaching their children enough about what Remembrance Day is all about?
Some schools do, others don't. It all depends on a lot of the seniors, like the teachers, and how they take it. And some of it comes down to their political views, where they won't bother teaching the children.
I think this is not a political thing to play around.
No.
People have lost their lives, right? people, our heroes, have lost, and they didn't have no choice but to leave their family, their school, the work, everything, to go fight for the country. So I can see political, there's a lot of political talk we can talk about, but this is not political.
No, definitely not.
And every school, every parent even at home, if the school don't have no time to teach about Remembrance Day, I think parents should be educated and they should be able to talk to the children because they will remember that. Whatever sometimes we learn from our parents, we remember why is, people will ask you, why are you wearing poppy? What does poppy means? Yeah, talk a little bit about poppy then.
The poppy is when you look at the history of it, the poppy actually represents birth and death and birth.
Okay.
Over in France and Belgium during the First World War, the poppy seeds, they lay dormant. They're underneath until the soil is disturbed. And what happened over there with all the shelling and it disturbed the soil, and the poppies bloomed in abundance, and especially in Flanders. And this is where Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae penned the poem In Flanders Fields.
Yeah, there's a nice poem there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where the history of the poppy started.
Yes, and it was actually, there was a lady who worked for the American YMCA or YWCA overseas in the First World War. Her name was Moina Michael, I believe it was. And she saw the poppy and she started wearing it. And basically that's a lot to do with where it started.
Can you also tell me, the poppy is always where on the left-hand side?
Yes.
And I know that's where your heart is.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why we wear poppy on the left-hand side?
Yes, above the heart.
Okay. So it's always, and there are so many people during this time, Salvation Army, I've seen that they are standing at the TransLink stations, malls and all that, selling poppies. And because you also raise money during poppy campaign to help the veterans, correct?
Yes, that's the, what we do is we do not sell poppies. It's by donation.
Yes.
And that money goes to help the veterans in each community. The veterans and also the community. A lot of the money will go to hospitals so that they can actually care for veterans in the hospitals. You know.
I mean, talking about veterans, like you must have had in the news that the federal government is just putting not the money where the mouth is and be able to support the veterans, where so many of them still struggling with depression, anxiety, and mental illness, that they fought the war. I mean, when a person goes and fights in the world, it's not like a camera, you switch it off and everything forgets. This your head is just like a computer. You just punch in, everything will come back. So for that reason, those people don't have a normal, some of them don't have a normal life, even the ones that even came back. And I don't want to get political, but there is a lot of talk about federal government not supporting or paying attention to support the veterans who are living with mental illness and depression. So maybe the poppies also maybe be able to.
Yes, that helps because we donate a lot of money to what we call the Veterans Transition Programs. And it's programs to help the veterans that do have mental problems, physical problems, and there are programs out there, and the Legion does support them.
So you are the president of New Westminster Legion, right?
Yes, branch number 2.
Yeah. How many members do you have?
We have just over 500, about 530.
Yeah.
You know.
So is the Legion on all the time? Does it work in the community, or is it during this time only you become very active and you come and, because you need to organize all these things?
No, we work basically all year round because some of the functions that we do, We do fundraising. We have meat draws, and the money from the meat draws goes to help the community. You know, so we're looking after the seniors, the communities, and also the youth groups.
I see so many medals you have and the badges on your side. Can you talk about those medals? What were those medals for and when?
Well,
Yeah.
these ones here are the Legion medals.
Okay.
For service at the branch and then the positions that I've held at the branch. These ones here, the one here is the CD, the Canada Decoration. And this one in the middle is the Queen's Diamond Jubilee.
Okay.
The one here is the Governor General's Volunteer Service Medal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have emblems, I mean, on the thing too. Yeah. Oh, that's basically says.
Oh, this is the
veteran.
Legion crest, yeah.
Okay, Legion crest. So when I'm looking at the clock there too, I want you to, and we have spoken about why is it so important that we should take the time out in the day at 11 o'clock to go and visit the cenotaph and pay your tribute, your respect to the people, the men and women who did not return home. I know that you also have a message. What's your message for those people that are listening to you or watching you today? And
The message that I would have is to show respect for the people that gave their lives for this country, and to teach your children basically what remembrance is all about. The children themselves, the message to them is they should be asking their parents and grandparents to find out if any of their predecessors have served in the military, and find out about them, because it's something that is being lost. The stories that the veterans that could tell, and the way it would stay alive is for the young people to ask them and see what they did.
but that's a great message, and that's why we want to focus today's show on Remembrance Day. It is so important. We talk about everything else, but we never give the emphasis on the importance of Remembrance Day, that we should all observe and take that moment, the 11th hour of the 11th month, to go and observe this Remembrance Day at close by Cenotaph. There's one in Vancouver, there's one in West. Every city has something, and every city do come out and remember the World War I, World War II veterans. So it's very, very important. We also have a role to play, and if we as parents, grandparents do that, our children will say or look at you, and they will go with you and tag along with them. And it's not snowing, not like winter in other places in our country, that we can go and we can participate in this. So at least we know the history of the people. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, sir, for you be able to come and educate our community on the importance of Remembrance Day and why is it so important.
Yes, thank you. That's my pleasure.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Leach, for coming to educate all of us about the Remembrance Day. We have some events that you would like to participate in. To get your pen and papers ready. Fundraiser for Christmas. This Christmas fundraiser is taking place on December 9th at Royal Banquet Hall in Burnaby at 7845 Edmund Street. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. For tickets and more information, please call Nia at 604-603-4684 or Jose Chauhan at 778-892-7388. The proceeds from this year's fundraising will go to Moving Forward Counseling Society. Canadian Empowered Women of Fiji Foundation presents 2022 Christmas Dinner and Dance on December 2nd, 2022 at Kanna Banquet Hall in Surrey. Please bring an unwrapped toy for the toy drive. All toys donated will be sent to BC Children's Hospital Foundation. For tickets and more information, call 604-825-8261 or 604-831-0240.
Lower Mainland Multicultural Family Support Services and Asian Pulse are joining hands together to celebrate Women's Empowerment Day to help children and women in need. Come join us on December 11th at Grand Taj Banquet Hall for an early brunch, 11 to 3, and lots of activities, booths, and interesting events. For more information, please call Kamila Singh at 604-537-5123. Thank you.
Sahas Community Service Society. It provides a helpline for people who are in crisis and need to talk to someone. They offer critical support, information, and resources for individuals and families in need. And the number is 604-900-9221. Everything will be kept confidential. I ran out of time today, but I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. If you have missed our show, you can watch it again tomorrow night at 8:30 and again on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. All of our shows are also uploaded on our YouTube channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Before I leave, I will leave you with these thoughts. I'm only one, but still I am one. I can't do everything, but still I can do something. And I will not refuse to do the something I can do. This is a beautiful, inspiring quote by Helen Keller, one of the women who always was admired by me in my life and many of the women around the world. With that, have a wonderful week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. I'm your host, Manny Randhawa. Take care of yourself. See you next week.